So let's pause for a moment. Think about the patterns in your life that may have surfaced earlier. Now ask yourself, which parts of me show up during these patterns? What are they trying to protect me from? And let your parts know you can spend more time with them too. But once we've identified the parts that show up in our patterns, the next step is learning how to work with them. And this is where the magic happens. But it's also where we need to slow down and approach with compassion. One thing I've learned over the years is that these parts don't respond well to force. And that's where, when my helper fix-it parts even jump in with my own work or in a session, they're wanting the best, but it doesn't usually come out the way they want. But if they can soften back, they're often surprised at the bigger team they're a part of and where the healing can happen. And I tried for a long time to fix my overworking part. I thought if I could just will myself to rest, to slow down, I'd be fine. But it didn't work. It wasn't until I started approaching that part with curiosity and compassion that things really began to shift. Instead of trying to shut it down, I began to ask it questions. What do you need? What are you afraid will happen if I rest? And as I mentioned earlier, it revealed its deeper fear, this belief that I wasn't enough if I wasn't constantly producing. And over time, I began to build a relationship with that part and continue to acknowledge it and build a relationship today. I've reassured it that my worth wasn't tied to my productivity. I started to give myself permission to rest. Now that part still shows up sometimes. I don't think it'll ever completely disappear, but the difference is that now I can recognize it and work with it in a much healthier way. So as you reflect on your own patterns, I encourage you to approach your parts with curiosity. Instead of getting frustrated with yourself or trying to change the pattern overnight, take some time to sit with your parts. Ask them what they need, what are they afraid of, what do they want you to know. How can you work with these parts to understand and potentially change these patterns?